Our text today is from Peter in the first chapter. In this you greatly rejoice, though now, for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials. What we have here is a letter written by a pastor to his people. And you can tell at once that the author of this letter is no seminary professor or church executive, because he speaks to people as they really are, not the way they should be or could be. The very first thing this pastor speaks to his people about are trials. Various trials. Trials is not a poetical word, symbolic or metaphorical word. Trials is a very real word for the hard and heavy blows that life deals to us and that are so disappointing to us. This accounts for the fact that your life has in it so many ups and then downs. And those drastic mood swings sometimes make us think that we are no longer mentally stable. He puts the trials right in front of you and wants you to admit to the fact of them for your own soul's sake. I know there are people who believe that they must always grin and bear it, and if they display any discouragement, they feel that they are somehow sub-Christian. They always remind me of the little boy who gets a sharp rap on the knuckles, and then with tears in his eyes and a quavering voice, he says, "That didn't hurt." And then you got the health and wealth evangelists of our day who would lead you to believe that if you live with Jesus up on cloud 9, your days will be trial and trouble free. In the corridor of one of the hospitals downtown, there's a large sign which says, Department of Safety and Risk Management. I wish that sign in a building filled with patients who have no guarantee of physical safety and whose very lives are at risk. You don't have to read this Bible very far before you find out that even the great ones of God knew moments of great discouragement. Think of Moses trying to lead these people to the promised land while they're crying every single step of the way about the sweet melons and the cucumbers back in old Egypt. And finally Moses says, I cannot carry them anymore, O Lord, they are too heavy for me. Or you think of Elijah in a bleak moment, flinging himself down under a broom tree in the desert and saying, it is enough now, O Lord, take away my life. I'm no better than my fathers were before me. Think of Jesus on the heights of Olivet, overlooking the beloved city of God and saying with tears, O Jerusalem, if only thou hadst known, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. The company of the discouraged is not an exclusive group, but it is a costly fellowship. All of our lips have spoken it, all of our hearts have felt it. Each one of us has known the slap of disappointment and the setback of defeat. That's why Peter tells us to face up to the trial. You may not be able to keep the birds of discouragement from flying over your heads, but you can keep them from building nests in your hair. That is, if you still have any. 3 things Peter tells us about trials. They are various or manifold. That's a word from the dyer's trade. It means that trials come in as many shades and hues as Joseph's coat of many colors. The little girl Esther lost both of her parents. The young woman Ruth lost her husband. Naomi lost her husband and her children, and Job lost absolutely everything but the throb of his own aching heart. Secondly, trials are for a little while, temporary, in contrast to the long while of eternity. And thirdly, trials come only if need be. That means if God deems them necessary for you, if they fit God's plan for your life. Peter says that all the trials have a point, and they are under God's direction. He says, your faith. These trials come so that your faith, more precious than gold, which perishes even though it's refined in the fire, that your faith may be proved genuine and receive glory and praise and honor at the appearing of Christ. Gold is, well, I can't think of anything offhand that is more highly prized or valuable in this world than pure gold. And if you priced any lately, you can see why. The precious ore comes out of the earth, but it's got to be purified, refined by fire, to burn away the dirt, the ashes, and the slag that are mixed in with it. Trials purify your faith the same way that fire purifies gold and burns away what is false and phony in us. Now, as a teacher, I may believe that I perfectly taught the lesson, and the students, by the way, they'll believe that they learned it all. But nobody knows this for sure till the test comes. See, you don't get diploma unless you pass the test. And if you do, it's a worthless scrap of paper and it doesn't signify a thing. And if we fail, well, at least we know the true state of affairs. And we do not delude ourselves any longer into thinking we got something that we really ain't got at all. So the trials that Lord permits exercise our faith. Now, physical therapists are telling us all the time that strength and stamina comes from the exercise, the push, and the straining of your muscles. Mental challenges, deep concentration, help keep your mind sharp and keen. But they've got to be, what coach would put the rookies on the A squad until he's tested them and found out what they can do? If you have ever seen a butterfly trying to get out of its cocoon, you might be tempted to help the poor thing along by cutting the silken strands that imprison it. Well, you'd set it free, but you would also kill it. It is in the struggle that the lovely creature of the air finds the strength to fly. Trials purify your faith, with one difference. Peter says, your faith is more precious than gold. Gold perishes. It leaves you, or you leave it, and ultimately will all be destroyed when the world itself is burned up. Gold glitters. It attracts the eye. And a simple, childlike faith in your heart does not seem of much value at all, does it? Does it? And yet on the day that Christ comes, when all hearts are revealed, it will be in the display case, not gold, but your faith. The Lord looks for faith. He delights in being trusted. Did Jesus ever ask anybody, give me some gold? But he's always looking for faith. To Jairus, only believe. To his friends in the storm, why are you fearful, O you little faith? To the fallen woman of Capernaum, depart in peace. Thy faith hath saved thee. So, we've got to believe that the trials are from God and for the good of our faith. Now, I don't know if I can show you the reasons for that in a week, a month, a year, or even a lifetime. Years ago, an elderly lady fell down our side steps out there and broke her leg. And in the hospital, she said, I could see it was the Lord's will for me to go to church, but I don't see how it's the Lord's will for me to lie in this hospital bed. Well, I didn't either. And I still don't. But the children of God, like all children, sometimes have to take their father's word for it and simply trust Christ in the dark. Whom, says Peter, having not seen love, and though you have not seen him, you believe, and you rejoice with inexpressible joy. Peter was one of the 12. Peter lived 3 years in Christ's company. Peter heard Jesus with his own ears and saw him with his own eyes. But these people lived many miles and many years away from Palestine. And yet, their faith was just as genuine, and their faith will be as fully recorded, fully rewarded. But you ask, how can you love somebody you can't see? Good question. Except it happens all the time. A beloved mother or a spouse, long gone, whom you can no more see with your eyes, can still be greatly loved in your heart. It's not at all unusual for a young person to fall in love, to long and yearn for somebody whom they have not even met as yet. And have you ever noticed how people can burst in on your life? They're older now and they're grayer, but nothing's changed. You can pick up the conversation where you left it off 15 years ago. Because the spiritual kinship is not based on sight. It is based on a relationship. And that relationship you have with Christ, upon whom you depend and lean and rely, that relationship that you know, where Jesus is your counselor, your confidant, cannot be expressed in words. Joy inexpressible, Peter calls it. Maybe that's why We like the grand old songs of the faith because they can say it in words that say it better than anything I could ever formulate with my own tongue. Now, he caps this section off with a very difficult point, because you've probably never heard it before, and with a closely packed argument. He says that what you folks got, the prophets foretold long ago, only they didn't see it as clearly as you can. They searched diligently their own prophecies and other scriptures to find out more about the sufferings of Christ and the glories that should follow after. Now, you people know what the sufferings of Christ are. You are the beneficiaries of peace and forgiveness and salvation. But what's this glories business that should come after? Well, that's the life of faith you're now living. No, you don't get it. This religion of yours that is so ridiculed and scorned and persecuted and pronounced dead and buried keeps on coming back out of the grave. Jesus says, the angels of God rejoice over one sinner that repents. If you've repented, you set all the bells of heaven ringing. That's why the great artists of the Renaissance, Raphael, Botticelli, have you ever noticed how they're always painting angels hovering around the great events in Christ's life? Not only did the prophets foretell it, what you got going is something the angels themselves desire to look into. The angels, as high and holy as they are, have never experienced the redemption as you have experienced it. Whom, having not seen, you love. There's a lot of people out there who got a beef with the church, the clergy, and other Christians. And I can certainly understand that. But you don't find many people out there who are hateful of Christ himself, because there's something loving and lovable about him. His clean strength, his manly beauty, the way he has of defending the defenseless, helping the helpless, searching out, finding the very ones everybody else gave up on. The way he dries tears and binds up broken hearts and relieves burdens of guilt from the oppressed. The way he comes striding through the storms and calling out to his children in the dark, be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. The prophets of old were thinking of you. The angels of heaven are looking at you, brothers and sisters, beset by your trials and your temptations, set down as you are in a world full of discouragements and disappointments, and yet still loving him whom you have not seen, and believing in him into whose hands you have surrendered your life, trusting that he will make of it something noble and honorable and glorious on the day that Christ reappears. Amen.